Yo, what's up, everybody? Appreciate you all rolling with us here as always. It's Thursday, 3 o'clock Eastern. You're watching on the GoldBoys YouTube channel or via OddShopper Twitter. That's fantastic. We don't judge. We appreciate you. Thumbs up on YouTube. Follow along as well. That's Eric Lindquist at Eric Lindquist. And of course, Mr. Brad Thomas, who got so sick and tired of our crap, Eric. Brad needed some sort of distraction over there, and he brings in his beautiful daughter, Juliet. My goodness, man.
So
If,
cute.
if you never hit another bet in your life, my friend, look created there. A beautiful young girl. Unbelievable.
I know. I feel lucky. I could have had an ugly child. Imagine if I just had this like ugly child on this screen. And you'd be like, "Oh, Brad, nice baby."
Yeah, right?
She's so cute.
There's no, yeah, we're not bullshitting you here. Sorry, BSing you here if you got the monitor on. Yes. And you could tell that, right? Like if anybody, we're not bringing anybody up specific out there, but if you've ever been around an ugly baby before, and look, let's be honest, on the hierarchy of beautiful to ugly, it happens every now and again. It's hard for somebody to fake that. Oh, what a great looking baby you have.
Yeah, it's honestly like I'm a pretty good actor when it comes to that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
you are.
It's really hard to hide the ugly baby face. Like,
Oh my god, it is.
oh, that's not what I expect, especially if it's like two attractive people. That's maybe my favorite though, because it's just like, what?
How did this happen? Right.
You can see
Right.
the surprise on your face, and it is
Yeah.
awkward for everybody involved, but it is actually because I hate like The Office when I rewatch it sometimes makes me feel kind of icky. It makes me feel like, oh, this is a little cringe, and I'll fast
It
forward to
should.
like the super cringy parts. But
No.
like that is an in-person thing that I could do over and over and over again because it's more of
Right.
like, ooh, did they notice? And it's a really fun social interaction.
That's great, man. That is great. By the way, there's nothing, I don't think there is anything cringe like The Office, including like if you've ever watched the UK one, that's what it's all about, right? Is Ricky Gervais and they just purposely leave the camera on. No sitcom leaves the camera on somebody's face that long to where you're just like,
Yep.
what's going on? All right, well, let's do it, man. We got Thursday night football. I know there's a ton of soccer going on because our guy in the Odd Shopper and Tails here, from Brad to Ben Raza, soccer plays in abundance. So I'm sure you may sneak something in there. There's college hoops, bowl season is upon us. We got a lot of stuff. Look at that. We got a big board to fill because Straight is in the house producing. That's why you know we look good. So Brad, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to the association, and I'm going to the Raptors and Heat game. I'm going RJ Barrett. I'm doing a little parlay. RJ Barrett, 20 plus points and 6+ rebounds. You can find that over on FanDuel. First, let's just talk about season numbers. He's a 24-7 guy, 24.7 boards per game. Scotty Barnes is out. That's a lot of available points and rebounds that are going to go out. But I actually think the biggest factor, right, like the biggest boost that RJ Barrett gets with Scotty Barnes out is the boards, right? Scotty Barnes mean on the glass, playing against a Miami Heat team who give up a ton of points. Okay, and rebounds and points and rebounds to the shooting guard position there. It'll be even better if Jimmy Butler's out this game. He's doubtful. I mean, he's questionable, but I still think if you're getting these numbers at his average in a game where no Scotty Barnes, I'm liking these numbers. His numbers actually without Scotty Barnes are pretty similar to this number, which makes it pretty easy, an easy bet for me on auto trigger pull. I like to find guys who would step up. And when I went to go look at everyone who steps up in the injury instance in this team, I think everyone was overinflated. RJ Barrett's number stayed the same. Like you look at Grady Dick, his number's 15.5 for points, right? Like, of course, Grady Dick's going to probably play the 25 plus now, but 15.5 as a baseline is really high for a guy like Grady. When I think the biggest boost would be the rebounds that you're going to miss from Scotty Barnes.
Makes sense. I mean, you're speaking Eric's language there as far as just what, the utility and what a guy usage does with somebody on the court versus not someone on the court. So real quick, before you respond to that in depth, I just have to ask for my own anxiety as a parent 2 times over. I assume at the very least the door is closed to where she can't get out. But like, is she trapped under the desk? Is there any type of barricade right now? Walk us through what's happening before Eric expands on your play, please.
So the baby, literally, when I do shows or I'm doing anything where I'm talking to someone, has to be attached to me. So she's actually grabbing my leg, playing with the remote, changing the channel.
Blessed.
That's
Okay.
great.
That's all I needed. Sorry.
No, well, I just love that you know me so well that, like, obviously I'm going to expand and talk about the things. Whenever we can talk about rates, I start to get really, really excited in a way that I don't get to in any other time in my life. But yeah, Scotty Barnes is basically just, I mean, it's just replacing tons of production. And what he does in terms of a box score is very, very different. Over the course of the season, right around a 30% assist rate without Emmanuel quickly on the floor. Don't forget, he's been out here for a long, long time. So that is definitely bolstered, like when you go back to last year's numbers. And the two guys that, you know, could potentially take away some of the rebounding just that are going to be on the floor more, Kelly Olynyk, who's starting to get minutes ramped up here from the low teens and will eventually be playing, you know, into the mid 20s or so. And then the other one being Jonathan Mogbo, who ends up showing up quite a bit. But even still, we're talking about like a 29% assist rate for RJ Barrett and a nearly 11% total rebound percentage on that side of things. And he hasn't shot the ball particularly well with Quickly and Barnes off the floor. 450 minutes, 33.7% usage. So he's getting it up.
Yeah.
But a 48.7% effective field goal percentage, that has positive regression written all over it. Having Grady Dick out on the floor, I think actually helps because he's not a high usage guy. He's extremely efficient and has been one of the better, like more surprising offensive pieces. I've got him 85th percentile this season. So yeah, I do like that combination. When you're talking about the total rebound rate, you're, you know, Jakob Poeltl, true center, I suppose, out there against Bam Adebayo. But the rest of that Heat team, especially if Butler's out, not a great rebounding squad. So I feel pretty good about that 6+ boards in conjunction with it. The 20+, I would even maybe push that to 25 as I'm looking at the alt numbers. But I'll just do the football play here. Nice, quick, and easy. I do have 3 plays that I threw together, and I'm happy that they're all plus money for the people. So go 2 for 3. We have an absolute Hulk slam of a day. You hit all 3. You can just, you know, Venmo me at Eric Lindquist. That sounds great. But nice. Cooper Kupp, 7+ receptions. I've just been tracking this all day. Puka Nacua props are going absurd. It's been bet up to like 96.5 receiving yards. He's got 7.5, barely plus money going on the over of 7.5 receptions here. And we're going from turf to the outdoors here. We're going in a spot where I think everybody saw the Juwan Jennings, Puka Nacua smashes that have occurred so far this season. And, you know, coming off of last week, there's no doubt Nacua was going to be the favored person by the public. I'm looking at Cooper Kupp here in the slot going up. Travarius Ward's had a very, very bad season here for the 49ers by his standards, and he'll probably be out on Nacua a little bit more, but a lot of that safety help going to be coming his direction. I want to get news. Do we get DeMarcus Robinson news yet? Jordan Whittington news yet?
Not yet that I saw.
Okay. Yeah, so there's an opportunity, I think, for both of them to see a little bit of a surge there. You'll probably see Tutu Atwell out on the field a lot. If DeMarcus Robinson's dinged up again, that was kind of what happened towards the end of that last game against Buffalo. But this is a massive divisional rivalry game. And the 49ers, you know, they've been a little bit stingier against the pass to some extent. I mean, last week with Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams, it was garbage time, whateverness. They were never remotely in that football game. But I still trust Cooper Kupp, his rapport with Matthew Stafford here. And the market, it's gone from plus 117 to plus 125. Now sitting plus 130 on 7+ receptions. It's just a little too high for 7 total receptions, that is. Over 6.5 for Cooper Kupp at FanDuel. It's about 20 cents better than you can find anywhere else in the marketplace. Sorry, my mom's calling me. And that's all I have to say about that. Oh, yeah.
You need to get that?
It's just weird she would call me right now. But anywho, continuing
on.
Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, no, all good, man. I think for me, I want to bring up, because I don't know if this is going to be one of your plays and we can just fill it in if not, or if you chose to go a different way because you're tired, you're exhausted, and you don't want to deal with a back and forth with me, which I totally get.
I'm so here for you. Can do whatever you want. First off, happy birthday, Eytan Shander. Second off,
wait, holy shit, happy birthday.
Yeah. Let's go.
Wow.
Second
all 3
off,
and 4 of you. Thank you.
You have only made me money for like the last 3 weeks. There's not a I don't love the word capper, but there's not a person alive. Because again, I get to see and track all of this goodness. You are hot fire right now, sir. So happy birthday. Hopefully you remain intelligent at 46 because I need you.
The gift and I was never, but the gift and the curse is that's just you and I having fun here. But it's real money. It's not flip coins, right? I'm able to
coins.
Exactly right. But thank you all. Right. So yes, to avoid dating myself even further here, I'm just curious because I know you're on the other side. Interested to see where Brad is. Overall, it's probably the best play of the 6 of the blocks where you have sides, money line, and total. It's probably the under here at 49.5 because everybody's expecting a lot of offense, and you are at that key number at 49, prime time, what have you. But I saw an interesting number here, and I guess technically it's a trend, and y'all know that we don't build anything specifically off trends. But you come off a pretty rare situation in which a team won and they scored and allowed both 40 points, right? Like 40 plus points.
Mm-hmm.
Their following game, we've seen 12-22 against the spread, including an 0-8, 1-7 ATS straight up run when they're facing another team that's winning, right? Now, again, not the end all be all, but you start to look a little bit into that specifically to this game. And maybe you do stay away from the under and you just look at San Francisco, who at the very least has a little bit more of a benefit not coming after a track meet shootout in which they barely edged the Bills. And there's letdown from that. But even still, you start to look a little bit deeper with this Rams team. And while they've won, 6 of their last 8, they still aren't beating teams handedly. They're still not putting together complete game plans. They're getting a couple of plays, couple of big plays. In fact, they're like negative 19 or so when you just look at the net yards per play or per game, pardon me. So there's something beatable in there. And I still think, last thing I would add, this is it for San Francisco. You win out, you've got a 53%. I saw a 53 or 55% chance to make the playoffs. And that was from the New York Times. So take it for what it's worth. You lose, you're done. It's it. You're done. It's over. So it's a short week. I hate taking sides on a primetime Thursday night game, but I'll just open it up with there at -3. I know you're on the other side, E, and I'm just curious, Brad, if you even had a position on this game like that. Whoever wants to start on that, have at it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll let Brad go because then I'm going to just play devil's advocate to everything.
Well, you just like there's nothing wrong with liking the Rams.
Yeah. I mean, the money's coming in on the San Francisco side now. I got this yesterday, +3 -108. It is now sitting at +3 -115 at like one book, one shop. Everything else is going to be 2.5 now.
Yeah, I got in -3 at even money. So there's
the big thing for me is I didn't think Nick Bosa was going to play today, and that's just such a massive miss for them. I've got him on the tipping scale like 40% to play, 60% to be out. I think Nick Bosa is one of the most impactful players in all of football. I think there's no doubt that Trent Williams, he continues to be out here. I think when you get a pass rush of Jared Verse, guy's been unbelievable for the Rams. He's a one-man wrecking crew. You have to double him every single time. And on a short week with a backup left tackle who has performed pretty well by PFF grades, but has now played 3 straight weeks, massive snaps, 61 snaps for him, the most that he's had by far last time out, playing left tackle and Jalen Moore. I don't trust it against Jared Verse based on what I've seen from him this season. He doesn't stop. He's a wrecking crew. And I just see this, you look at the edge rushing comparison between the Rams and the 49ers. Who would have thought that the Rams might have the better pass rush between the two here in a slogfest on a short week on a Thursday night football game? So for me,
okay,
I think both offenses do enough. I think they're probably a little bit inflated. You can say squeaky wheel about Deebo Samuel. He really hasn't performed well. The drops have been up. Juwan Jennings has been insane, but out of the slot, there's a lot that the Rams can do to try to help out with him. George Kittle, there's not really an answer for in any capacity. I think he's probably the one guy that, I would look on the 49ers side if I were trying to do anything advantageous. But right, I do think the Rams defense ran into a buzzsaw in Josh Allen. Josh Allen in come from behind mode. And then it just was like a track field. Both offenses elevated in a ridiculous way. It was so fun to watch, but I don't think that's indicative of how good this pass rush can be, especially against a left tackle on a short week who hadn't been playing a lot. I know it's his job to be in shape and whatever else, but this is a lot of snaps in a short amount of time for a guy who wasn't on the field weeks 1 through 10. So I'm very much here for Jared Verse having an absolute smash of a game and Brock Purdy in the pocket, not getting the time that he had against Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that I would just add this and Brad, we can swing it back unless you have any thoughts on this game too. You don't have to play tiebreaker by any means, but don't discount how bad the offensive line is going to be for the Rams, Bosa or not. just in general.
They had the two best performers over the course of the last 5 weeks on their offensive line. And again, one's questionable. And if
Matchup,
he hits,
right.
I'm going to lose my mind. This
But we're also
this
talking about
Jackson
matchup.
character,
Right.
Jackson character, if he sits, he was the #1 PFF graded tackle like 2 of the last 4 weeks. He's been absolutely insane there for them, but he's questionable on the injury report. He's expected to play, but Alaric Jackson, Iowa Hawkeye finest, this dude has been insane for the Rams.
Look, I understand it. You just have to look at the Niners defense as far as what they've been able to do, yards allowed in the passing game. They've been a little bit weaker as far as on the ground. I get it, but I'm not convinced that there's going to be as easy of a transition for at least for protection. Anyway, that's fine. It's
fair.
-3 +3, 2.5, right? You can see where that movement came. So let's move forward we'll swing it back to Brad. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll go. I have a screaming child, so I'll try to be
That's
brief
fine.
with
I
it.
can wipe my nose from sneezing. So
I'm on George Kittle.
Sorry, I don't want to freak straight out. I'm just going to turn off.
Look at this guy. I didn't even look at the plays. Didn't even see that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like George Kittle tonight. He has a good matchup against the Rams. He's also been the man. I think that 49ers are like, you know what, Debo, you're not getting open. We can't give you targets if you're not open. So for me, I'm big on George Kittle tonight. He's crushing this number at a very high clip, but also it's a really good matchup against a Rams team who allow a lot to the tight end position. So he is the offense, right? Juwan Jennings, like you said, Debo Samuel, they're guys there. Isaiah Guerrero, but it is ran through George Kittle. So I like him over 56.5.
Yeah, I love George Kittle in this spot. He's the one guy that I'm kind of scared of burning me with the +3 on the Rams side. Have a couple of parlays with the money line involved too, but George Kittle, there's not an answer for him. There's been so many splits whenever you have one of Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel out, and well, we've had Brandon Ayuk out almost the entire season, so it's truly just George Kittle season. Once upon a time, I used to be well, I'm not used to, but I still am. Just don't ever see her a lot. George Kittle's cousin went to Iowa State, and so went to school with me. She was a lovely, lovely human being, and pretty positive that that family is absolutely batshit insane because they are so talented at absolutely everything. George Kittle's an absolute freak of nature, but he's gotten by on low efficiency. That's the one thing that I think has kept me away from firing anything up on him today. I mean, we're talking downfield targets, 25 plus yards per reception last week, 6 for 6. He hasn't been targeted more than 7 times, but once since week 2. There have been some injuries that have been involved for him too. I think he missed, week 3 earlier this season. He got dinged up in that Minnesota game in week 2 where we ended up winning. And that was kind of the beginning of Minnesota. But hey, maybe we're actually good. But George Kittle, I do think, he's averaging 72 plus. We're looking at something 15, 16 yards adjusted. No matter which way you break it down, he should have a pretty decent chance of eclipsing that. I'm probably going to end up adding it. So I like the George Kittle shout out.
All right, we're not even halfway through, and we're 19 minutes in. And we got a hard out at 35. I'm just reminding you that we do have a clock today. All right,
Peyton Pritchard
and it's our producer
is going to shoot the ball a lot without Jason Tatum on the floor. We're talking Peyton Pritchard. This guy is just. When they play bad teams, they said this before the season started, and I didn't know if I believe them or not, but it's come to fruition in like the most prominent way possible. When they play bad teams or teams that they're double-digit favorites by, they say, Peyton Pritchard, go have fun. He has only a 21.6% usage, 270 minutes with Jason Tatum off the floor. However, 73% effective field goal percentage, 74% true shooting, nearly a 50% three-point shooter. His assist rate isn't really even there, 16.4%. We've had some of these spots where it's like, hey, Peyton Pritchard, go win us a basketball game. And he actually can. I think he's one of the most improved players in the entire NBA this season. I've always been impressed with him going back to his Oregon days. I really liked watching him quack for the Ducks. And it's come to fruition in the most prominent way in the NBA, fell into the perfect spot. And, well, I just don't see any way that you don't fire up 5 plus 3s for him today without Jason Tatum on the floor, plus 125, plus 130. You're also looking at a ladder potential there going 6, 7, 8. I think there's a lot of ways Peyton Pritchard goes ham against Detroit. And good luck Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, not exactly known for their defense. Jaden Ivey in college, but not so much in the NBA.
No, it's a little different, right? Especially going up against Boston.
Purdue. Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. Okay. Peyton Pritchard, threes, ladder. Look at that. All starting at 5+, or are you going to go 4+? Okay, for like
No,
minus.
4+ is like minus 155, and you kind of like
Yeah, there you go.
divide both sides of it, where it's like, looking at some of the
That's
unders, or yeah, no, we're gonna stay away from that.
so I'm gonna pivot real quick here, and instead of the under 49.5, because we were just brought up the side here straight, I am intrigued in a number because I think that if you like LA, there is a negative game script that you can apply to Brock Purdy, who's clearly healthy and throwing the football, especially because, as you mentioned, Debo's not just wide open, right? Like AJ Brown has been wide open, and Jalen Hurts has just missed, dude. And he's like, "What's up?" This is not the case. Debo Samuel's getting like this coverage on Debo because people know, like, you're not going to just stop covering him. And with Jawan Jennings, there's been a heavy dosage of targeting. I think that shifts a little bit, right? Rams are well coached and prepared for this game, even on a short week in a division foe that they know. So it leaves that huge wild card or variable, I say, of how difficult it is to stop George Kittle. But who else? Who else is out there? And at 5-1, if you look at the rookie who's going to
Oh
have, I think,
man.
an
Oh
opportunity tonight
man.
because they are down Isaac, or is it Garendo, right? They're down.
Yeah.
He's banged up. So who knows? There's going to be kick return, punt return opportunities for Ricky Pearsall. There's also going to be some sets out there in which he's there. I'm looking at him as a strong possibility of 5-1. Jawan Jennings is going to be watered down. Everybody knows the ball's going to him. You're not really getting a buy low price for Debo Samuel. So otherwise, you're going to some carousel of makeshift running back. Who else is it that you Robinson's status is lingering. So I'd
Yeah.
be shocked if there's any value on Atwell anymore. I'll tell you what, I'll make you happy. I'm going to go 1st and 2 for both. 2 and Pearsall tonight.
Interesting. I think the insane, like Megamind genius touchdown play for today is Keyshawn Vaughn.
Juicy,
Um, that's kind of
juicy.
my, if I were gonna like play one way, way, way off the board touchdown, Keyshawn Vaughn active, maybe Isaac Gurundo. I mean, obviously having a roster spot, you're wanting to fill up all 53. If Gurundo is like so bad that he can't play, that's not really my point. Like he could just be dinged
Vaughn
up
isn't
or
even
something
on the
could
board, bro.
re-aggravate. Keyshawn Vaughn has ways that
He's not
this
even on
game
the
plays
board.
towards him. He's not? Well, he was
No.
reverted to the practice squad, so that makes sense. That's weird
Who
to
would
me.
it be?
Ah,
Braden Willis?
I don't have anybody then. I'm just working through
Is
what my
tonight the
projected
Kyle
snap
Juicy
counts are.
game?
I guess Chris Conley's going to be active more than likely. So, do you want to look at Chris Conley?
He's 18-1.
That seems
Chris
fun.
Yeah, but Chris Conley should be 30-1.
I would
Stepping
rather
onto a
play Chris
football.
Conley anytime touchdown than Ricky Pearsall at 5-1.
I don't know. I still think you get with George Kittle down to 150 and Jawan Jennings at 140. The only other option would be Israel Abikinan Nanda, Abakanda
How about
in that
Eric
range.
Saubert? What's Eric Saubert at?
Yeah, Saubert's not bad. He's 20-1.
I'm more
I was
interested.
looking at Saubert. I mean, what are
Yeah,
you
I'm just
getting
I'm
from this
working
guy
through my
today?
projected snap counts for guys. I obviously need to change stuff because I had Keyshawn Vaughn getting 5 snaps at the running back position, which needs to go away here.
My
So I'm
thought
going
process
to
was sorry, I was gonna say real quick, Eric, my thought process was in a 2 tight end set, how likely is it that Kyle Juszczyk is not on the field. Because if they're going a bigger set, now again, there's going to be an eye. There's going to be a couple of sets where he's not. But if we're talking about like 5 goal line type scenario here, the ball going to Salbert over Jusek, I guess would be my question. Like, how often is that even happening?
Not a ton. I mean, we're talking about one of the best players in football. Not a lot of teams run out with the fullback these days. I mean, even Ricard hasn't been out on the field that much with Derrick Henry there in Baltimore now. That's just kind of the way that the position is going. But yet we saw 31 snaps for Kyle Juszczyk last week. And a lot of the times they really bring him in are in those goal line sets, like those that when you go 21 personnel and you're bringing 2 running backs out on the field. You'll have Grendo and you'll have Juszczyk out there. There's just so many things Shanahan likes to do around the goal line that are formulated for short distances like that. In 12, you're probably never getting Kyle Juszczyk on the field. So like that's kind of what you're looking for. And Eric Salbert is not very good. He played for Drake back in the day. I remember him being a Des Moines Bulldog. It's just a team that like randomly, just because I went to Iowa State 45 minutes north. I'm familiar with them, but like I think if you're going 12 ever, it's going to be Salbert out there. And, he was active. There's a chance he's inactive for today. Again, all of these roster spots are extremely valuable. And they can. Yeah, I think Salbert's out there. I mean, Salbert mainly was just activated multiple times when you had George Kittle out. That was like going back to week 9, Eric Salbert. No, it was not week 9. It was week 10. You had George Kittle played against Tampa. Week 8, There we go, against Dallas. There was no George Kittle. And then week 3 against the Rams, we saw 2 catches for 41. Didn't get in the box, hasn't scored all year, 6 for 78. And you're just praying for 12 at the goal line instead of 21. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
I mean, Chris Conley, it really, again, like I was looking at it with Conley or Pearsall. I guess you're right in a more of a stretch.
49% of snaps last week for Ricky Pearsall. And the other part of this is just like Conley, you'll rotate him in here in multiple game scripts. If we're expecting a shootout for it too, I think it opens the board up a little bit more.
I'm not expecting one. I'm expecting more goal line, short yardage opportunities.
Patrick is actually like a body. Like he's good in a certain way. Like he's had the same amount of targets, I believe, the last couple of weeks as what Amon-Ra St. Brown has had. So we're kind of comparing tick for tat. Like Pearsall is more of like slot guy at Florida.
Oh, right. I wasn't comparing.
But I'm just like saying, like, I'm trying to compare like the odds where Tim Patrick was plus 450, plus 500. Obviously, you have so much running expectation for them there. I think Conley's probably the interesting one. But yeah, if you want to fire up some Ricky Pearsall, I'm fine with that to some extent. But like, I think
I gave it out
way off the board to Conley or something.
Well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do because Juszczyk is already taking some heat on a first touchdown.
Yeah,
because we just lost 600 points or 300 points on it. So I'm going to fire Kyle Juszczyk 750 anytime, 43 first, maybe even 2 on that type of game script. Although I don't think I will.
Don't hate that at all. Plus, I mean, his receiving game, like he can be that out of the backfield receiver. We've seen that multiple times when you've had dinged up running backs.
I mean,
there's any limitation to Grendo. That's kind of what I think, but
we got to get out of here. But I mean, Israel is on the board and Keyshawn is not. So that may tell you something about active status.
I'll throw out Brad Thomas's play for him here. Kevin Huerter, 8.5 points, minus 120. He's going to be coming off the bench here behind Malik Monk, but now his job kind of opens up. You get one of DeMar DeRozan off the floor. You get one of Malik Monk off the floor. You get one of De'Aaron Fox off the floor. You're going to have a better scoring expectation for him off the bench. I expect more usage for him than when he was in that starting unit playing next to those guys. Obviously, Malik Monk was former 6th man, and now it's kind of switching back and forth with them. So, yeah, that's something to fire up there. 8.5 points for him. My third play was Malik Monk over 5.5 assists. So that kind of works out nicely. We've seen his assist rate. He's playing kind of a different role for the Kings as a starter here. His assist rate is starting to move into the 20th percent, like 22, 23%, which is kind of crazy when you play next to Sabonis and Fox. DeMar DeRozan being on the outside there. Keegan Murray, we know he's out there to shoot, but 5.5 assists at plus 120 on DraftKings. That is a low number. Plus 110 or worse at every other book.
Love it. All right. Nice job, man. You got through a couple right there, and absolutely there's some
Bang 'em
correlation
out.
to it. I'm going to leave you with this on the way out, and I guess we'll settle on Ricky Pearsall for the second play. I know straight, we were all over the place. You're probably like, what the hell just happened for the last couple of minutes? That's, again, what the two of us, right? Like, I dip
Left to
out.
our own devices, we're just gonna revert
That's the
to
thing,
our like
right.
we're at the bar. We're at the bar. Well, I mean, I always bring my laptop to the bar. Fun fact, but we're at the
Nothing
bar
wrong with that.
shooting the shit and figuring out what we want to play because that's what we do.
It's insane. Insane. Right. That's why we need Brad here, because he's the rudder. And
Yes,
if
he is.
one of us is gone, Brad's here.
He is the constant if we're going back to
Absolutely.
the lost days.
So I'm going to leave you with this. It's going to be real sweet. We still get this at plus money, and I think we are teetering on that value that we had for a while last year, and really for a little bit this year, where Jalen Hurts was plus money to score a touchdown, and you were like, why? It's pretty much guaranteed. But Josh Allen was plus 115 earlier, and here's what I really like about this game. Detroit plays so much. I mean, they lead the league in man defense. They are not going to change just because it's Buffalo, what have you. There are going to be rushing seams. There are going to be opportunities for Allen to take off. We already know he doesn't slide. He tucks. On top of that, he still remains in the lead for the MVP. There are going to be opportunities where if it's a short yardage, he's going to take it, or the call would be for him. Just seems like getting him at plus money, even at plus 115, is still a bargain, especially this week on that matchup where you're going to see so much man coverage from Detroit.
Love.
That's all I got.
Actually,
That's all I
love.
got. At Mr. Brad Thomas, follow him. All right. At Eric Linquist, at shanderbets for me. Appreciate everybody out there doing a great job. Hit the thumbs up button.
Look at the
Follow
birthday hat.
Oh, yeah. You didn't notice
Look
that?
at the birthday hat.
You didn't notice
It's
that?
adorable. Get it. There you go. Should be
Yep.
easier on your bald freaking head. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, it's a big one. There we go. Just move up into it.
For my melons. There you go.
So good.
There we go. See y'all. Thanks to James Strait for producing in these fantastic graphics. At Odd Shopper, following along. Subscribe, GoldBoys. We'll see you Monday.